Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Mr. Kadim Khan and I am a lecturer in the Institute of Computing, Quart University of Science and Technology. Today we will take lecture number 20 of the subject of visual programming, in which we are going to discuss the error providers, tooltip and the context menus controls in the Visual C Sharp.net. Dear students, these controls act as a building blocks for the GUI applications. So understanding of these controls is very much important in the Visual C Sharp.net, and these controls are used in most of the projects. So that's why these are very much important controls. This is the discussion agenda. It contains the topics of the error providers control in C Sharp.net. First we will discuss how to provide informations about the errors in the C Sharp.net. Then we have the examples of the error provider control in the C Sharp.net. Then we have the tooltip controls in the C Sharp.net. The tooltip controls are used to provide the information about the GUI controls. So for examples, if you want to input the Mars, so tooltip controls will help you when you point out your pointers there, or you place pointers on the text box. Then we have the examples of the text tooltip control in the C Sharp.net. We have also the context menus controls in the C Sharp.net and also the examples of the context menus controls in C Sharp.net. First of all is the error provider in the C Sharp.net. As its name indicates, the error provider control is used to provide the error messages to the user. When a user performs certain errors, then the error messages will be displayed by the error provider controls. So it simplifies and streamlines the error representations in the graphical user interface applications. Basically, it is the abstracts which shows errors on the form. And in fact, on the form, we have different controls here. So error providers controls help us to identify or provide the errors to the end user so that the exact input is obtained from the user. It doesn't require a lot of words on your part, so that's just you use the properties of the error providers controls to implement these controls in the Visual C Sharp.net, and which is the key feature of the error provider. So you do not need any coding here, just you require a small piece of codes. So major coding is automatically performed by the Visual Studio here, so just you have to set the properties here. This is the example of the error provider control. For example, if we have a graphical user interface that enter first number, you will enter the first number here, then you are asked to enter the second number and its addition is displayed here. So when you click on the add buttons, then its addition will be performed, and when you will click on the clear buttons, this text box will be empty then. Now how you will associate the error provider controls with these two text boxes? Each and every one has its separate controls here. So error provider 1.set error control name comma error message. So first, this function, the set error function, is very much important, which is associated with the error provider. If we have one error provider, then it is called error provider 1. That set error function will associate the error message with the current control, and here we will specify the name of the control with which we want to bound this error. For example, if we want to associate the errors with the text box 1, then text box 1 comma error message, and here we will display some meaningful message here, and this is used for binding the error messages with the particular controls here. Now this is the implementation of this example. When we click on the buttons, then the error message will be displayed. So here we have to provide an event or implement the event here, which is the button1 underscore click event. This is the private event, means that it is accessible only in the class. Void means that it doesn't returns anything, and button1 underscore click is the click event associated with the button1. Object sender means that it will send the event, and the event here will be sent by the button 1, which is the click event, and event ERGSE represents the keys which will be pressed here, and E is the object of the event ERGS, so E represents the particular keys when that will be pressed here. Now if text box 1 dot text is double equal to empty, that means that if the text containing in the first text box is empty, then set error function of error provider 1 associate the error message with the text box, and the error will be you must need to enter some values. And similarly, if the second text box is empty, then the errors will be associated also with the second text box. That means that if the uh, second text box is empty, then the error message will be you must need to enter some values. These errors can be different. For example, here can be you must need to enter some values, and here can be you cannot leave this text box empty. So this errors is in fact associated with the text box 2, and this error will be associated with the text box 1. So you need only one instant of the error provider controls. Now else if both of them are non-empty, then this submission will be performed here. So first it will take input from the text box, and by default its input is the text, that is the strings, and it will be typecasted into integer, and it will be assigned to the int number 1. Similarly, int number 2 int dot parse text box 2 dot text, it will be typecasted into integer, and it will be assigned to the number 2, and then the addition will be performed. Int number 3 is equal to number 1 plus number 2, and then in fact the summation will be displayed into the third text box, that is text box 3 dot text is equal to number 3, which is the integer variable, and dot to strings means that it will be typecasted back to strings here, and it is the body of the else, and this is the body of the event. Now dear students, we will perform this example in the Visual Studio. So for this purpose, click on the escape buttons to exit the slides, and here you need to launch the Visual Studio, so just type Visual Studio. So here Visual Studio. When you will type Visual, so you will see here your Visual Studio which is installed into your computer. I have 2019, the latest version of the Visual Studio.net. So just one click here and you will see meanwhile that your Visual Studio will be up for you. Here you can see that the flash screens of the Visual Studio 2019 has been appeared, and next you will be asked for creating the project. So here we will create the visual applications of the Visual C#.net, which is the Windows form applications. Now here you can see that these are the already existing applications, are the programs that we have previously created, and click on create new projects here. So when you will click on the create new projects, the Visual Studio will ask from you to type the name of the project. So meanwhile the Visual Studio is creating the new project for us. Now you can see that the Visual Studio is asking for the creating the new project. Click here, change your language to C#, and here you have to do nothing here, just type here the Windows application. So I need Windows application, so just I will type here the Windows, and I will type the Windows, then the Visual Studio will displays the Windows application here, or you can come down here and click on Windows Forms Apps.NET Frameworks C# Windows application used for the desktop projects. Click on next. After clicking the next, you have to need to type the name of the project. So for example, project is the, for example, I want to add that uh, uh, calculation project, calculation project. Click on create button, so that Visual Studio will create for you the project. You can see that the empty form has been created for us. You can resize this form by dragging upwards to this form. Similarly, you can change the size of this form. Click on toolbox to design the form. I need one buttons controls. Then again, I need one label control, and I also need one text box controls from the toolbox. So I drag drop these controls here. Okay, I need three instances of each of these three controls. So just select this. For example, right click, copy, and right click, paste. You can use the shortcut keys as well. Here again, I need another copy of this controls. Okay, now I will change the labels on this text box, the labels text. So select one first label, then go to the property, and here type the valid name, a valid or a valid text for this label. For example, enter first number. Here the first number will be entered, and also select the second labels and change its text properties, that enter second number. Second number will be, and here is the, for example, I will write here that the sum or addition. Okay, now this is my GUI. Now you can change the GUI. For example, select all components and go to the font property of these controls. Make it bold and size of the fonts 12. So when you will click OK, you can see that the font has been changed. Now you can resize these text boxes there. And also if you want to change the color of these labels, so click on the far color property, click on the customs. For example, I need the green color here, and for this labels I will change its colors. For example, to go to the customs color, and I want this colors here or any other colors, for example blue. Now you can see that all the colors has been changed. Similarly, click on these buttons and go to the text property of the buttons and write it, for example, calculate. Calculate. Now you can see that the label over the button has been changed here. You can also change its back colors or the far color. Far color is the text color of the button. I want to make it red. Okay. Similarly, if you want to change the font property, here click on the font property and click OK. You can see that this is now calculate button. Now to create the event, double click on these buttons. Okay, so the event has been created now. This is the button 1 underscore click event. Okay, now first I will implement the logic here. So first I need the first variable is the a. For example, a is equal to int dot curs, and first input will be taken from the first text box. It is text box 1 dot text. Similarly, also take input for the second text box. It is int dot curs, which will be typecasted. That input will be typecasted into integer, so that's why int dot curs typecast the text input from the second text box, which is by default the string input, into integer, and it will be assigned to b variable. Similarly, summation will be c is equal to a plus b, which is the expression here. So I have created expression, and the results will be assigned to the third text box dot text is equal to c dot to strings. The string is because the input should also be type cost, or the output here, which is the c variable, which is integer variable, should be type cost back to the strings. Now you can see that it is well calculate the summations here. But what should happen when the user leave one of the two text boxes empty? So we will implement that using the error provider controls here. Now I'm going to compile and run the application. For this purpose, click on the starts, and then meanwhile the output will be appeared here. Now Visual Studio is creating the output for us. Here you can see the output. For example, 10 and 20 summation will be 30. You can see 30. But what happened, for example, if I leave one of the both of the text boxes empty, and again I click, now application will be crashed. Now you can see that Visual Studio is going toward the crash. That means that there are some runtime errors here, that exception handled. So unhandled exceptions is in fact occurring here, which shows that this text box is empty. For this purpose, to handle this situation, first you need to stop the project, go to the form designs, go to again to toolbox, find out the error provider controls here. Error providers controls is a certain controls which provides the error message here. You will not see the error provider here. So for this purpose, click on the uh, Windows forms here, and here you will see the error provider. You just drag drop one error providers here. There is the error provider, which is in fact we have placed here. The error providers will not be cannot be placed over the form because it is not interactive controls. It is non-interactive controls. We cannot interact with that. Just we can interact with these other controls. Again, double click so that you can go back to your um, event here. Now, first I will use the if statements here. If first text box is empty, for example, first text box dot text is double equal to empty strings. Means that if the first input is empty, then error provider one, which is the our dot set error. Set error is a function. We will use that set error function here. It takes two different parameters. First is the control which with with whom you want to associate the errors, and here you will type the error message. So I will type, please make sure that text box should not be empty. Please make sure that text box should be filled. So this is the error message which will be displayed here. Now I also needs to associate the error message with another control. So another control is the second text box. So again I will write text box 2 dot if second controls that text is double equal to empty. Means that if the second text box is empty, again I will write errors provider 1 dot set error set errors, and second errors will be associated with the second text box dot comma. Here I will write this. Here I want to write a different error message than the previous one. Please make sure that the text box should be filled. So here I will write that please don't leave the text box empty. Please don't leave the text box empty. And this is the in fact the error message. So that's why I will write here this symbol. So L12 says that please don't leave the text box empty. Now I will close the next body here of the. Now I will close the else body here, and the else body will be will contains the piece of code which will perform the additions here. Okay, so you can align this code here, and similarly better is to remove all the spaces here. Now my code is now complete. So just click on the start button to execute this code. So when you click on this start button, the system will run the application. Now you can see this is the output here. Now if I leave both of these checkboxes empty and I click on the calculate button, you will see that the error provider controls has provided the errors here. You can see that when I will point out my mouse here, you can read the message that please make sure that the text box should be filled, and here please don't leave the text box empty. And now if I fill the text boxes, for example 40, 30, and click on the calculate button, now you will see that this gives the results here. But still the error messages are there because previously we have made mistakes. So when I leave a certain, then you can see that it will again has associated the errors here. So that click here again. I want to run the application. Click on calculate. Now the result is there. Now if I fill the forms, for example 50 and 60, summation is 110. If I make this second text box empty and I click, now you can see that error is provided, and please fill the text box. If I remove this as well from here, you will see that the second error is pointed here, is that the text box should be filled here. This is the error provider controls as you have seen here. Now we will resume our next examples here. So we will go back to our slides. Next important control is called tooltip control. As its name indicates, the tooltip control is used to display the information about the graphical user interface components. That when it appears when the mouse is placed near the controls, then the tooltip will appear. There are three important properties of the tooltip. First one is tooltip title. It sets the title or the message for a tooltip. Second important property is the initial delay. It perform the or set the initial delay in the milliseconds. So in the millisecond delay, the tooltip will be appear. Second one is the tooltip on tooltip 1. It set the tooltip for the current controls. That means that the current control has the tooltips. Now this is the examples here. And for example, in the previous example, we performed the additions. If you will place the mouse here, then it will say that this is the text box which takes the input from the user. This is the text box which takes input from the user. Now, how we will perform it? Just escape the slides, go to your previous examples, click on the designs mode, go to the toolbox, and here you need to drag drop the tooltip controls from the toolbox on your form. So you have to search the tooltips here. If you cannot find the tooltips here, you can also type the name of controls here, but here is the tooltip. So just click drag drop the tooltips here. First you will go to the properties here. This is the property. You can see that it's the name of the tooltip is the tooltip 1, right? This is should be the title here. It sets the title of the tooltips. That with whom you want to set the titles here. You want to type here the title of the tooltip here. Now click on this tooltip, go to the property here. First is the initial delay. Initial delay is 500, which means that after half seconds the message will appear. Then also there is the tooltip title. You can type the title here of the tooltips. For example, input for the text boxes. You can change any titles here. That input input is required is required. This is this set the title here that the input is required here. Now here it will set the icon here. For example, I need the info icon. So info icon is here. Next, I will go to the text box or the control with whom I want to associate the tooltip. So here you will see the tooltip on tooltip 1. So click here. You need to type the exact name of the tooltip. So the exact name is tooltip 1 here, and press and so you need to type it's here. So type here and click here so that your input or the typing will appear here and the tooltip 1 will appear here. Now tooltip 1 is associated with this text box. Now you just run the applications and you will see when you will point to your mouse here, you can see that the input is required messages appear here and it is the information message. But this text box is not providing such tooltip because we have not associated any tooltip with this and this text box. Only first text box, with the first text box, the tooltip has been associated. So this was the tooltip controls, and we have performed the examples here. Okay, next important control is the context menus in the C#.NET. The context menus controls provides the pop-up menu when users right-click on a certain controls or the right-hand mouse button is clicked over a control or area of a Windows based forms. So these are called context menus controls because menu is usually specific to the object over which the menus was clicked. So if you want to associate menus with a particular control, so just you can use the context menus control and the context menu control will appear only on that particular controls with whom you have associated that context menus controls. So context menus controls are also referred as the pop-up menu or shortcut menus controls. This is the example of the context menus control. For example, if we have a text box, there are buttons. When we perform right clicking here, right click, then this context menu will appear, and then it has also another sub context menus: foreground color, background color, new, exit, and add colors here. Now here we will perform an example of the context menus. Here, for example, if we have multi-line text box and one labels controls, and then we will also drag drop a context menus controls. So when we will drag drop context menu control, it will appear here. Just click here and then you have to type the options which will be appear when the right click will be performed on this control. So this is the example that we are going to develop. So for this purpose, you will associate the context menus with the multi-line text box here. So then this will be associated with the context menu step 1, and then you can perform the coding here. That's if you want to perform the copy functions, that textbox1.copy, you need to create the event of the context menu. So first menu was the copy tool strips menu item underscore click. It will perform the copying. Second one is select all tool strips menu item underscore clip. It will select all the text in the text box 1 and paste tool strip menu item underscore will perform the pasting options in the text box 1. Similarly, if we want to make clear the text box, then this will be clear. This will clear the context menu underscore click even. And private void exit tool strip menu item. This will close the applications. Now, dear students, we will perform this application in our Visual Studio. For this purpose, click on the exit escape buttons. When you click on the escape buttons, then go to your solutions here and just resize your form and copy this text box and paste it here. So I have obtained text box 4 here. This is the text box 4. Yes, it is text box 4 here. Again click here and go to the properties, makes its multi-line properties true, which is false now. Make it true. When you will make it true, the multi-line property, that means that you can type the multi-line input into this text box. Now go to the toolbox and navigate to the down sections here. Click on the menus and toolbars and select here the context menus controls here. This is the context menu controller. Drag drop this onto the form. You will see that this has appeared here. Now you need to type the options here. Okay, our options were copy, select all, copy, paste, and clear and exit. So first I need to create the select all, select all. Then after selecting all, I can use the copy. Then I will use the paste option here, paste, then clear, and then exit. Exit will close the program. Okay, now my options are completed. The context menu which has these 5 options. Now to create the events here, first I will associate this context menu with this multi-line text box. So click on the multi-line text box and show the context menus controls of this text box with the context menu 1. So this is the context menus. Here we have context menu strip 1. Now with this text box, which is text box 4, context menus is associated with context menu 1 is associated with the text box 4. Now click here. Now you need to create the events for all these 5 options. So just double click. You can see that one event has been created. First event is select all. So I will write text box 4 dot select all. Select all. It will select all the text into text box 4. Again go to the design mode. Double click on the copy option and then again I will write text box 2 dot copy. It will perform the copy here. Again click on here, double click here, text box 4 dot paste. The text which has been copied in the previous option will be pasted here. Okay. Then click here again. Now text box 4 dot clear. Clear or empty the text box. Then now again click here. Just write here the close. Close function will close the application. Now my implementation has been completed. Now I need to run this applications. So when I will run here, I will type some text here. For example, Kohad University. This is the text here. Now if I right click here, you can see that select all is available. So select all is available. But this context menu cannot be available here. It is not available here because it is only associated with this text box. So copy and then anywhere if you want to paste it, paste. You can see that pasting is working here. And if I will click clear, the text boxes will be clear. and if I will click on the exit, the application will be exit. So this is the context menu, which is the pop-up menu when the right button of your mouse has been clicked here. Now we will go back to our slides. Yes, students, this is the end of the lecture. These are two important book references. The first one is experts book, that is professional book, and the second one is the from the basics to advanced books. So you should read these two books for more topics and for other topics. And if you have any questions, I will invite you to ask the questions through the email. My email is m.kadim@kust.ud.pk. I will wait for your question and will respond as soon as I get them. Thank you very much.